and I think we've seen this before, especially when an aleph as a consonant ends a closed syllable, which is what you have here. This aleph quiesces. Do you remember that kind of technical term? The aleph becomes quiet, or essentially a dead letter. All right? In pronunciation now, they don't hear this consonant, aleph, closing the syllable. So in pronunciation, it's as though this syllable is open. That's what they heard. All right? An open syllable, therefore, would take not a short vowel, but a long vowel, and that's why this vowel is lengthened. Now that we have a long vowel in what is, for all practical purposes, an open syllable, you're not going to write a silent schwa after it. That's why the schwa is gone. And since we now are approaching the Bagad Kafath letter not from a consonant, but from a vowel sound, the Dagesh Lene, which marks the hard post-consonant sound, or the hard sound of a Bagad Kafath after a consonant, is also gone, because now in pronunciation it's following a vowel. So we've really had three sort of minor sleight of hand variations here, none of which really throw you for a loop, but all of which are slightly different from the regular vowel points. And again, I say, big deal, right? This isn't a major concern, but you will see this kind of stuff happening. All right, let's move to the next verb, which can give us problems, and that's our verb nathan, our root nathan. I introduced this also the other day. What does nathan mean? To give. Now, I showed you nathan as an example of a word that, even if you're just learning the regular paradigm, is going to throw you a slight problem in this form. What's this form? Nathan nu. This is nathan plus nu, right? However, since you have the nun here followed by another nun here, these two nuns are going to get written as one nun, right? With Dagesh forte, so that your whole form is going to look like this. Nathanu. And you got to pay attention, because you got to look at the Dagesh and go, how many consonants are there? See, you look at Nathanu, how many consonants are there in this word? Answer. You see nun, tau, nun. How many consonants are there? Four. Why? Because this Dagesh is telling you that there are really two nuns there. Right? Did I say Lene or forte? The Dagesh forte is telling you there's two nuns there. All right? Now, we've got an additional problem that comes with the phenomenon that we just saw. That is when a nun ends a closed syllable. And this is the problem of assimilation. Do I talk about this someplace? This is page 40E. Now, assimilation is a fancy word for saying that letters change to be like or similar to other letters. David, I was looking for an English example of assimilation, and it dawned on me that this is it. You're way ahead of me, right? The etymology of the word assimilation is from the Latin ad similate, which means, ad, if you know Latin, is the preposition to. Right? So the etymology of the word assimilate means that a letter becomes similar to another letter, or moves in the direction toward becoming similar. Now, what happened to the D in assimilate? It became the S that follows it. So that in English, you see two S's there. If this were in Hebrew, you'd see one S, and it would have a Dagesh forte written in it. Now, here's the problem, and you need to know this because this is going to happen all over the map in Hebrew, and that is nuns tend to assimilate. All right? And they assimilate when they close a syllable. Now, let's see what this means, okay? Here is a verb form that you should be able to parse. Nathanta, right? Parse it. Nathanta. Again, here's our root, Nathan. You got a ta ending, right? So translate this. You, masculine singular, gave. Okay. However, because this nun closes a syllable, or to say it another way, because this nun is followed by a silent schwa, here is an example where that nun is going to assimilate. Here's what happens, okay? Assimilate means it takes on the similar sound as the following letter. So that for all practical purposes, that nun now becomes a tau matching the tau that follows it. All right? Trust me. You may think this is weird, but that's what assimilation means. The nun takes on the same sound as the following letter, so that for all practical purposes and pronunciation it becomes a tau. Do you see this as weird? All right? Now, if the letter was written as a tau with a schwa under it, followed by the same consonant following, Hebrew is not going to write two letters here. This is precisely when Hebrew writes one letter and puts a dagesh forte in it. So this will become not nathath-ta, but nathat-ta. All right? Do you see what's happened? All right, now we're getting a little bit further away from something terribly obvious. Okay? What you end up doing in your head is really jumping from this step to this step, and you can almost formulate this principle. When a nun assimilates, what really happens? What does it become? It shows up. This is the general rule that would work whenever a nun assimilates. The nun assimilates and becomes a dagesh forte in the next letter. Now, I told you what's really happening. It's becoming the next letter, and then you're getting two letters that are written as one with dagesh forte. But you can almost skip the